Hi guys, good afternoon. Happy Monday. I was here this morning. I'm sure I probably saw some of you, but I had an appointment this afternoon, so I had to leave early. So Mrs. Kornbaum, I believe, is going to be in here subbing Monday afternoon. And I think what we'll try to do is just accomplish everything that we need to accomplish through video. I know we've tried this before and it's not ideal, but it works. So that's our plan for today. So I'll try to walk you through what we need to do. We've got a little bit of notes we're going to take. You'll probably notice on the board we did I'm assuming all of this, it's Sunday afternoon when I'm recording this, but I'm assuming we did a Isaac in class today. We haven't done one for a long time. So 5th and 6th hours, we'll just do our Isaac tomorrow, and then you'll go back to back. Also, a reminder that tomorrow, Tuesday, is a deer day. So make sure you have a book with you, um, ready to go with that. So bring a book, you know the routine, and we'll get our reading minutes in Tuesday. Today, let's start off with some phonology. I had to come up with an idea today. Obviously, I haven't been in school. I'll draw something up there Monday morning. But I thought for today, let's do a mourning dove. That seems topical. I'm sure it's a lovely drawing on the board that I'll do in the future. So, mourning dove. Let's start with the name. Why are mourning doves called mourning doves? Anybody? Anybody? Yep. No, that's what most people think, that it has something to do with because they're out early in the morning. But if you take another look at the board, you'll notice that it's not spelt M-O-R-N, like morning, good morning. It's spelt M-O-U-R-N, which is not good morning, it's sad morning. So morning, like if you're feeling sad, if someone passes away or something like that. So they get their name based on the sounds that they make because they have a very sad call. We'll try to play a mourning dove call here. I'm sure you've all heard it, and I'm sure you've all annoyingly, done the. I can't do it, so I won't even try. Plus, I hate doing that because that usually leads to about 20 minutes of people constantly doing that in class. So here is the actual call. So very similar to a loon almost when you hear them, but it's that call that reminded people or it didn't remind people, but it sounded very sad. So that's where their name mourning dove comes from. Now, mourning doves, a lot of them migrated south, so we haven't seen a lot of mourning doves around here, but there are some that stuck around this winter, surviving on grains that they could eat. And this time of year, our earliest migrators coming back tend to be the mourning dove. So you might have some early migrators already reappearing around your yard or at your house. Now, mourning doves, since they are the first ones to return, they also are the first ones to get a head start on mating season. So they are in the middle of courtship right now. A lot of that revolves around the males singing or calling, whatever you would call that. So they're calling typically early in the morning because it's quieter then. So they're making their calls, trying to attract a female. They also do a little flight where they zip around. They look a lot of times they get misidentified as like a falcon, something like that, because they kind of do with the pointed wings and the long pointed tail. They look falcony, if that's a word, in flight, but that's the mourning doves doing their little mating ritual. Once they mate, they will lay eggs in a nest. They typically make nests out of sticks and twigs, and that'll get going. They are one of two doves that we have that live here in Minnesota. Can you think of the other? Yes? You are exactly right. It's the rock dove, which a lot of people incorrectly identify as a pigeon. But a pigeon, technically, there's a species of birds called pigeons that live primarily in California and on the West Coast. So the pigeons that we have here are really not pigeons. So in your barn or your silo or hanging around the underpass of a bridge. Those are not actually pigeons, but those are rock doves. What else can we say about mourning doves? They are, this is kind of an interesting thing on a gross side, but the females produce it's almost like a cottage cheese type substance. Look, there's a name for it. Drawing a blank on it. Crop milk or pigeon milk, but they kind of regurgitate this lumpy, milky substance that they feed the offspring. So in a couple, probably a month from now, when the eggs have hatched, they'll be doing that. Also, when you look at mourning doves, you notice they have a really thin beak. Their beak is not real strong, so it's not made for cracking open large seeds. So they have to eat things whole. So they do eat a lot of, if you live on a farm, you probably notice that mourning doves are constantly taking corn and things like that, but they can't like crack it open. They have to swallow things whole, and then their crop and gizzard breaks it up. That's probably pretty good. So that's the mourning dove. Now, today, we are going to talk about Newton's laws. And we're just going to spend, I think we'll talk about it today. Obviously, tomorrow is a deer day. And then Wednesday, we'll do kind of a simple little lab and a write-up on that. And then I think we're going to just jump right in on Thursday to looking at the planets and the solar system. But this is material that you did cover in 6th grade, talking about Newton's laws. And it's also things that, so one, obviously I expect that you'll know it or at least remember it partially. And then, obviously these are things that will reappear in a couple months on the MCA test. They always have a couple questions that deal with Newton's laws. So it's good to know, but it's also very important for understanding space travel, whether we're talking about, like the NASA missions, the Apollo missions, or the Gemini missions, or things like that, all deal with Newton's laws. Or when we get into solar system, we'll talk about like Voyager and things, and even just dealing with how planets are able to stay in orbit around the sun, or how moons orbit planets. It all deals with Newton's laws. So right now, what I want you to do is you're going to need to get your notebook, and then I also want you to go and get a note sheet, which I'll flip this off. Boom. It's going to look like this. So it's got Newton's laws, these 4 things. So you're going to get one of those sheets, and then, and after I explain this to you, then why don't you just pause the video, and then you'll come back to the video in a little bit. So Newton's laws, you're going to cut this out. You can keep the heading if you want to cut that heading out, or you can write the title on the top of your page. You cut this out all the way around the border, and then you're going to cut it from top to bottom, all the way down, cut it in half, and then you're going to cut from here to the edge, and from here to the edge. Do not cut, obviously, this part. Okay, once you get that done, you're going to glue on this strip and this strip so that you get like a little book that flips open. And then when we go through and take notes in a few minutes, you're going to write your information underneath that little flip. So why don't you pause the video right now and then come back once you've got that in your notebook and glued. You can put your scissors, put the box away, put the glue away, all of that good stuff. And then you'll come back to this video. Okay, so take care of that right now. Boom. All right, welcome back. So this should all be done. We got that. Now, let me show you this, because I know you're probably just dying to know what I did this weekend. This was just about an hour ago. Oh, I got a nuthatch. And just when you thought it was done, no, here comes a chickadee. Bam. Beautiful day. Hope you guys went outside today, because it is gorgeous out there. All right, so now you've got your notebook sheet glued in, ready to go. We're going to go through this presentation. Now, this presentation was made, I did not make this one. It's a very nice one. And it was designed to be a little more interactive, where you could flip things and move things. I just have it in PDF, so the there will be no flipping or moving of anything. But this all deals with Newton's laws. Okay. So, essential questions: what are Newton's laws of motions and how do they apply to everything we do in life? Couple terms, you don't need to write this. Make sure that you understand it though, that Newton's laws of motion deals with force, which is a push or pull on an object. It's measured in newtons. Get to that a little bit. Now, there's two types. We can have balanced or unbalanced forces. If we have balanced forces, so let's say that there's, if you see in there 12 newtons pulling to the left and 12 newtons pulling to the right, the object is going to remain sitting because it's balanced. When we have an unbalanced force, that's when we get movement. So if you're on a swing, obviously, unbalanced force, we would have movement, and that's going to cause acceleration, which we'll explain in a little bit. So here you have 14 newtons pulling to the left, 10 newtons pulling to the right. 14 minus 10, you get a net force of 4 newtons. So this object, this large orange block, is going to move, and it's going to move 4 newtons to the left. Okay. Let's skip. Friction. You obviously know two objects rubbing together, like when we watched in Apollo 13, when the spaceship came back to Earth, the amount of heat that was generated is just, it's friction. Friction of that spacecraft hitting the air molecules. You can get friction rubbing your hands together. Okay? You do that. You generate heat. Friction, with an object, you're dragging an object on the ground. If it's not sliding easily, that's because of friction. It's a resistance to movement. Okay? Speed is just your speed. You should be familiar with speed, hopefully, which is different from velocity, because velocity is speed and direction. Okay? So speed is just your speed, 55 miles an hour. If you say 55 or 35 miles an hour west, that's velocity. It's your speed and your direction. Acceleration is if you're speeding up, if you're slowing down, if you're changing your direction, that's your acceleration. Now, we're not going to deal a lot with these terms, but you definitely will, especially next year when you have physical science at the high school. You'll do a lot of work on velocity and acceleration. All right, let's skip that. So if we go through this real quick. Now, this was supposed to be really interactive and cool where you'd pull and reveal, but I guess we're just stuck talking about it. So if we talk about a push or a pull, that would be, is it force or is it a net force? Okay, that would be a force. Increase in the rate of speed. That would be acceleration. When unequal forces cause a change in motion, okay, that would be unbalanced. A force that's applied by an object, a force that is applied to an object by a person or another object, is that friction or is that applied force? That's applied force. The rate at which something is able to move or operate, that's your speed. I hope you're trying to answer these in your head before we give the answer away. You don't need to write any of this yet. Resistance. When one surface of an object moves over another surface, that is the friction. Speed and direction. Velocity. A combination of all the forces on an object. Net force. And then when two forces act on an object, when two equal forces act on an object, does not move, that would be balanced. That's correct. All right, I do want to check one thing because I can no longer see my recording.